Hello everyone, and welcome to a new episode of LostinTranslationmon. This time we'll be covering Digimon Ghost Game episode 65, The Black Zone of Death. I'm May, and I'm joined by the skeletons in my closet, as due to scheduling, Chloe, Quinn and I are recording separately. So that will be in Quinn, Chloe quick comments shortly after the intro. Before I get into the synopsis for this week's episode, just a quick bit of news. So, first of all, we know that the English dub for Colon is apparently coming out in spring 2023, so that's US spring, so in a few months, I guess, basically, or in any time between next month and a few months from then. So, sooner than expected, I guess, but then again, we haven't heard of any news about it for about a year. Secondly, there will be 67 episodes in Digimon Ghost Game, so next week there's no episode, and there's also no episode the following week either, with the next episode, episode 66, being on March 19th, and the final episode, episode 67, being on March 26th. So, we've got 2 more episodes after this one, and then no more Ghost Game. In terms of the synopsis, this week has the characters basically continue on from where last week's episode finished off, and we're talking to Hiro's dad, who, guess what, is fairly useless. Terriermon explains about this curse that turns Digimon evil, and Hiro wants to talk to Blacktailmon. We then find out that Bokumon was lying when he said that humans could not go to the digital world, which I guess we should have known because Hiro's dad was in the digital world, presumably alive. So that feels like something the characters should have been questioning from the start, because I know that we were, or at least we were wondering how Hiro's dad could have been there, if it's not possible. And then Kazuhamon appears to open a gate to the digital world. The characters go there, but then basically immediately run into the Mon of the Week, who is a Raphaelzamon, who is slightly darkened because she is cursed. The characters end up fighting, but end up getting infected, except for Gammamon, who fights off Raphaelzamon as Siriusmon, gets eaten anyway, but then hears the voice of Girlless Gammamon, and basically kills Raphaelzamon from the inside. The characters then meet Saberdramon, as that was one of the Digimon that got eaten, who explains that Dark Lizardmon has died, and then we fly to this island of crystals or what have you, and we're met by Bloom Lordmon, who is a new Digimon, and then the episode ends because we have to fight this Bloom Lordmon to get past, because we have to meet the person who, or the thing who is calling the characters, and I'm still fairly certain it's Hiro's dad. He seemed a little bit too dumb. And that's basically it for the synopsis, so let's go on to Quinn Chloe quick comments.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Ghost Game, LostinTranslationmon.
Episode 65, in which we're recording separately again because we have to drive someone to an airport really early tomorrow morning, so sorry about that. Our predictions of this episode were basically just that, it's kind of hard to imagine Kiyoshiro turning evil. It doesn't really seem like he has all that much to gain from it, and God, I wish that it was even that good.
Yeah. No, he literally just fell into some flowers.
He fell into flowers. But anyway, let's go through in order here. Here's our highlight. And yes, that is singular.
Raphaelzamon. Oh.
Yeah. Had big, be the hot goth girlfriend you want to see in the world vibes.
Great choker.
Good
like belt
choker.
buckles. Advertising estrogen.
Yep. I actually did think that she had 3 E's written on her,
torso.
Stomach area. Yeah, then I realized they were belt buckles. But Raphaelzmon's design is basically our only highlight.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the lowlights, shall we?
Yeah. The episode.
Yes. So, we start off with Hiro's dad saying, and also, I got sent back here.
By accident,
Which is to say that this wasn't part of his plan? He also just kind of got sent back somehow?
And if so, why did Blacktailmon have Hiro sign? What? If this was unplanned, why?
Yeah.
Also,
Next.
Creepy Friend was here.
Yes, Creepy Friend was here and he was the worst. The world is literally ending and all he cares about is the fact that Ruli is in a room with Hiro and Kiyoshiro as if it's any of his damn business.
Also, like, Hero's dad is in there. It's not like it's a...
Yeah.
Oy.
Also, we get... Hero's dad says that Blacktailmon told him that the Digivices can open portals, or open gates to the digital world.
Apparently they could have gone anytime they felt like it this
If
entire
they'd known.
series.
Yeah, but also, is that to say that Hero's dad did not make these Digivices if he had to be told how they work?
Yeah, Blacktailmon, maybe?
And then just, like,
responsible?
gave them to him, and then had him give them back to Blacktailmon so Blacktailmon could deliver them to the kids? I don't understand.
This plot was already not great, if for no other reason than that Hero's dad is still alive, but it's just, it barely holds together.
Yeah. Also, there was so much just, like, retconning in this episode. Like, remember that time that Pokemon said that humans would burn up if they went through a gate to the digital world? Turns out, he just lied, and I, weird mammoth-looking Mon, just chose not to say anything about this fact because he asked me not to.
Yep.
For reasons.
Yep, we have to wait until they learn more about Digimon, I guess.
But I'm not going to tell you why that is.
Yep. And the kids are just like, oh, I guess that time has come. Yes, we know that time has come.
Clearly.
Because you just told me the thing. In fact, Ruri does a lot of stating the obvious this episode, and it really bugs me.
Yeah, that's true. Also, after establishing that the Digivices can open a gate, we then say, how do we open a gate to the digital world? And then we ask Kuzuhamon, who is just conveniently towering outside the window for help, rather than, using the Digivices. I guess we hold our wrists up to the sky and zap them with our green energy beams that they can apparently do.
Yeah, so realistically, the kids could have done this at any point in the series, and if it weren't for, I guess, the internet being down, they should be able to just do that basically whenever. Mm-hmm. So we needed to introduce Kuzuhamon so that we could prevent Hero's dad from coming back and giving us literally any exposition in the last 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course she has just enough energy to get only the kids and their partner Digimon through, but not Hero's dad, because what did you expect? I mean, come on.
Right, well, then he has to go find a new group of kids to induct into his war.
Probably, which I hate a lot.
Creepy friend looks like he's getting a Digivice,
if
and
creepy friend
we
gets
riot.
a Digivice, I will freaking quit this show.
Yeah. We open our portal, we get everybody through, whatever. Also, before we can do that, Hero's dad, rather, has to tell Ruri that she needs to change, because she's not, exposing enough skin in her coat. Hero, of course, being a man, is just fine to keep wearing his jacket and hoodie, but Ruri definitely needed to both take off a bunch of clothes, and then get bridal carried for, most of the episode.
Yeah, we sure had to make a point of Hero's dad telling Ruri what to wear. What the actual hell was that?
Yeah.
Why? Also, and we kind of skipped this one, but at least at the beginning of this episode, the animation just was trash.
Yeah, they did not know how to make a face.
Yeah, it was a little better in the back half. You could definitely tell where the animation budget for this episode went, but, even then, the back half of the episode wasn't great. It was just... ugh. And going back to what Quinn said earlier about really just kind of stating the obvious a bunch, after jumping through a portal explicitly to take them to the digital world, seeing, glowing trees, hearing Angoramon say that the compiler forest is ruined or whatever, it's only after they see a Digimon that really says, yes, it looks like this is the digital world. Congratulations, you solved the mystery, Ruli. You figured out where we are.
Yep. So knowing full well that the digital world is being corrupted and that, people can have their brains taken over at basically any time and made to go rawr at people, as Terriermon liked to say, we're just gonna have Kyoshiro wander off by himself, fall into a pile of suspicious flowers,
and then have Jellymon see that and be like, hurry up.
Yep.
I say that you just flew into a big old pile of spores, but that can't be anything insidious. Hurry up, you baby.
Yeah, this entire episode hinges on everyone being incredibly stupid.
Yeah, the stupidest they have ever been.
Yeah,
Oh, you found water over here? I'll just blindly trust you. You definitely don't seem like you're,
We're gonna do that
weird.
3 times in a row.
Yeah. Also, for the record, this is not how the third impact looks. You're supposed to turn into Tang, not flowers.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true.
Also, Angoramon felt the need, as he was being converted to being, a flower, to say, I was worried about this, but, didn't voice any of those concerns at all earlier. Not until now, when it's too late, will I say that I was worried about this.
Yeah, we didn't have time for Hero's dad to explain any of the plot of the episode, but we did have time to do an extra evolution sequence to Canon Weissmon before going up to Siriusmon.
Yeah, I get that we had to make it a whole, mechanic to be able to skip from, child to Canon Weissmon or whatever.
Yeah.
But, you're telling me that just because we don't have an official mechanic for it, that we have to go to Canon Weissmon before we can go to Siriusmon?
Yeah, they could have just said Wapshinka.
Yeah. And, I know that they weren't, it's 5 seconds, and, if they had those extra 5 seconds, it probably would have just been filled with more nonsense, but,
Come on, try a little harder. There's 3 episodes left.
Yeah. And in the end, the good guys just failed. And it just happened to all work out because of reasons. And maybe also Gulus, despite him not actually making an appearance, just kind of having, a voice presence.
Yeah, we were reminded that Gulus still exists, and that apparently Gammamon does not know that Gulus exists.
Yeah. What was that voice, my butt? Come on.
Yeah.
This episode was trash.
I hated it. This is maybe one of the worst episodes of Digimon.
It was really bad. We spent so long building up to this, and then we're just like, hey, all those things that we said before were actually lies.
Yep.
And not even lies that we're just now learning about. It's lies that I deliberately kept from you
For a year.
for a year because someone asked me to a long time ago.
Yep. And then he died, so he couldn't tell me when to actually tell you. So I decided that it was probably never.
Probably never until the world's about to end. Yeah. Oh my god.
I just still can't believe, so Hero's dad, after all of this, appears to have had no master plan, no idea what he's doing, just be entirely seat of his pants this entire time.
Yeah, he is apparently also just along for the ride.
He has no idea what's going on after a year hanging out in the digital world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this episode sucked.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite character, Quinn?
Rafflesimon, I guess?
That's fair.
It's a good design.
Yeah. I liked her design, but I hated this episode.
Digimon, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, that's neat, I guess. I liked her design. I hated this episode enough that I'm not going to do it the justice of giving an actual answer, so my favorite character is Lilith Third Impact.
Yeah.
You want to become a flower? It's something that feels really, really good. What's your rating and ranking?
0, last place. I'd give it negative points.
Oof. Okay. I give it a 0.5, and also last place. It gets half a point because I liked the choker that Rafflesimon wore.
Yeah.
It was a good choker. I'm a sucker for a choker. But that's literally the only thing that I liked about this episode.
Yeah, normally we at least manage to get 20 minutes of jokes out of this. We're at 10 minutes in, and I'm done with this episode because it was bad.
It was terrible. This is worse than the episode where a Digimon wanted to murder children because it didn't want to turn left. I somehow gave that episode a 1.5.
Yep.
I should have given that a 0, and I should have also given this a 0. But,
Chokers.
I'm just too much of a sucker for a good choker, I guess. And I don't know what the heck I was thinking with the 1.5.
It was early.
It was early, and I was
to give it room because you knew it could get worse.
I was optimistic. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, I guess. I don't know.
They had 3 episodes to come up with a halfway convincing
overarching
end to
plot.
this.
Yeah.
And at this point, still, it seems like literally no one knows why this is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sure does seem that way.
Something is corrupting the digital world. This is a fact that we learned about 1 episode ago and still have absolutely no information about, except that I guess there's some cloud that if you get near enough to it,
you hear a voice.
Except that none of us did.
Yeah, except you, the audience, don't hear it, yet at least. We got any miscellaneous thoughts or speculation?
So, can all Digimon just change their height, or is that just Kuzuhamon?
I feel like I have a vague recollection of that kind of being Kuzuhamon's gimmick in the episode.
I think you might be right, but
like,
it still doesn't make any sense.
I can't remember, because I definitely remember, giant woman doing the pull out your soul thing. But then definitely fought Seriousmon at, like, 1-to-1 relative scale.
Yeah.
So it might just be Kuzuhamon's gimmick, but worth asking.
Yeah. Anyway.
Miscellaneous thoughts about the series thus far. I really don't have a whole lot of hope for the finale at this rate. Like, I was really hoping that there would be some answers this episode.
And we literally separated off Hiro's dad so that he could not possibly be asked reasonable questions like, you could have come back this entire time? Where's Mom? If
you knew that we could use the Digivices to make a gate, why didn't you tell us sooner? Or why didn't you have Blacktailmon tell us sooner? Or literally anything.
If you didn't... why? So we still don't know why or how most of the Digimon are showing up. Dad wasn't behind it as some sort of, escape plan. It's still just happening for a reason.
It would have made sense if he was like, recognizing that something was wrong with the digital world and he was like spearheading an evacuation for all of the Digimon, But no. That would have made sense. But no, he's just also swept up in the current, I guess, He
has an assistant. What does he do? Not important.
He assists.
I meant, what does Dad do? What has he been doing for this entire year with an assistant in a lab coat?
Vibing, apparently. Not having any plan and just kind of going with the flow.
Yep. But it's fine, he found some more children to give Digivices to.
I'm going to be so mad if that actually ends up happening.
Yeah.
Next time on is entitled The Black Dragon of Destruction, because we're going with themes. This was the Black Zone of Death.
Even though no one died.
Yeah, except for Rafflesmon, who got, Thanos snapped, basically.
Yeah.
I bet there'll be plot. I wish I cared more.
Pretty much. They're gonna have to give some sort of vague justification for any of this, and we're gonna wait 2 more weeks to maybe find out something.
Yep.
You decided to do the episodic thing, and really only have a bare bones plot, but it seems like they didn't write the bare bones plot. This is just try all over again.
I really hope that in the last couple episodes, they tie it all together beautifully and make us look like idiots, but
come on, Heroes Dad, at least sacrifice your life.
This is just bad right now.
Yeah. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah. Bye! Yeah.
And now we're back to May's monologue. So my highlights this week were basically just the huge cast of returning Digimon. The opening few minutes had all of the Digimon kind of hanging out in Angoramon's tea and chill hangout area. It was really nice to see so many returning Digimon, not just the main ones, but smaller ones as well. Salamandermon. We also have Bastemon, and I believe Betsumon as well was there. Huge cast of Digimon who we haven't seen for a while, which is really nice to see. We obviously don't see ones that ended badly, like Maycrackmon, or Weedmon, or Phalesmon, but we see the ones that kind of ended up more or less positively. We even see a Laemon, so that's pretty cool. So big fan of these returning Mons. I also noticed that we do have a shot of Moon Millenniummon, who is sleeping in a gem. Hero's kind of just watching it because he can't sleep. That's kind of weird. I wonder if we're going to do anything with Moon Millenniummon. We're running out of time to do so, but Hero's just looking at this giant world destroyer because he can't sleep all right, that seems fair. But overall, yeah, it was great to see all these returning Digimon, even if Saberdramon did confirm that something had happened to Dark Lizardmon, and that's kind of sad. In terms of lowlights, Hero's dad is just useless. Terriermon is explaining how serious this situation is, and he's just kind of sitting there going, Gamamon, you're still wearing my sleeve as a bandana, and just kind of doesn't seem too clued in. I'm still thinking that's fairly suspicious. Is kind of a little bit not there. He's just not a lot's going on in there. He's very brain empty, no thoughts kind of guy, which I guess I can kind of sympathize with, as I am one of those myself. But it just felt kind of weird that he's meant to be this genius, which leads me to believe that either he is actually evil, or possibly he was given the vital bracelet Digivice by someone and didn't actually invent it himself, because I don't think he seems a little bit not of this planet, in terms of I don't think he's got much going on in the old brain box. In any case, this episode overall just served as a stepping stone that, yes, was necessary to get to the plot, but I just wish that it did more. We have 2 full episodes after this one to go to wrap up the stories, and while I do believe that they can do so in 2 episodes, I want them to do so well, and I really thought this episode would have had more in terms of plot. I still am fairly confident that they can do the ending fairly decently, but I'm starting to worry just a little bit. And yeah, I just didn't have that many highlights in this episode overall. So it's a necessary stepping stone. My favourite character was Terriermon Assistant, because I love how he was just explaining everything. He goes, "Rah!" and it made me smile at least. Though my rating, I liked it more than Quinn and Chloe, but I still only gave it a 2, and that put it in 55th place in my ranking. But with our overall rankings all added up, we have a combined score of 2.5, which puts this week's episode at the very bottom of our overall ranking, which is kind of a shame. I don't really have any miscellaneous thoughts, so I'm going to go straight on to the Postmon Pat. So here are the YouTube comments and questions. First of all, Matthias says that Hero said that Degamon's body is turning black. If he pointed this out, maybe it's probably important. And yeah, we do learn at the start of the episode that was important. That is the evil, I guess, L virus from Atmon kind of thing going on, where they are basically cursing Digimon and making their bodies turn black. They're not colour variants, though I really wish that the black variant of Raphaelsamon was an official variant rather than just her body's turned black because she's evil, because I really like the design of this and I kind of wish it was its own variant. Same with the Breakymon we saw as well. Matthias says they have a theory. Degamon was probably out of control and unreasonable because of that. And yeah, that was basically confirmed in this episode. So, good theory from last week. Next we have Kiara, who says that the dice roll in the episode was probably referring to the Call of Cthulhu RPG, which is the D100 system, or a D10 and a percentile die to represent values up to 100. Since a 1 was rolled, always a success in the RPG, Canon Weissmon snapped out of Degamon's illusion from eating the candy. That's really interesting. I've never played that RPG, but that is a pretty cool little reference that they put in there. Next we have Digi Danny, who says that they noticed that Degamon got stronger and his colour changed to black and pink, Girls Gamon's colour scheme, when the black spot on Canon Weissmon's back appeared, and next week's episode also shows Kiyoshiro turning black and pink. And yeah, that was kind of confirmed in this week's episode, straight up confirmed, but it wasn't confirmed if there's any link to Girls Gamon as being part of that. I would assume that he might have something to do with that at least. Then we have Daniel, who says the transformation reminded them, oddly enough, of Jujutsu Kaisen with their demons. It's super unsettling and was perfect. Like everything else, they're sad that Digimon Ghost Game is ending, but they're really looking forward to Seekers. It's been a super fun ride, even with all the plot issues of Ghost Game. And they're all saying that, did we all see the flash of black? Yeah, everyone's talking about the flash of black and wondering if it'll mean something, and I'm guessing it will. Then we have Lazy Crocodile, who says that they really liked the episode and they wish there was more. It has some mistakes, but they can forgive them because the episode was too fun to watch, and the plot here is delivered by Uva, Black Cat, and we're watching the show because they were catching up a friend, and then there's things like Bokumon saying someone is sending Digimon, and each time Gammon evolves to Girls Gammon, his tone shouting is different. And yeah, I feel like this is a series that I really do want to rewatch, just so I can catch things I might not have watched in the first time. But I feel like I'm enjoying it enough that I want to watch it again, which is a good sign for it. Then we have Andrew, who says we've met a lot of Digimon that could destroy the world in different kind of ways. And yeah. Next we have Hafiz, who says they think the reason for Lamortmon and Theusmon's timeout is because Dagomon, because the reason it didn't affect Kanawaisemon and Hover Espimon is because they're... Well, the timeout doesn't affect Hover Espimon because Hover Espimon's an adult. And as far as I recall, the timeout's just for perfect levels. Like, it's not even mega levels, it's just perfect level, which is weird. And yeah, they're wondering if it was the range. I don't know if that's... I don't know if it's the range. That feels like... I feel like we've been high in the sky before, and it's still affected. I feel like it was just because it was in the script. And then they're saying that when the Dagomon Shadow showed up, they got goosebumps. And yeah, totally agree. That was a pretty cool scene. Next, we have Angel Squeaks, who says they think it makes sense that Espimon found Hero just because he has the radar vision, so he could feasibly see through the fog. And yeah, that does make sense, because he is a robot, so that is fine. I'll allow that. They kind of like how Dagomon disappeared just because it showed how impossibly powerful he was compared to the characters. It maybe could have been framed better, but they think it adds to the Lovecraft vibes. You can't stop it, it only moves someplace else. And yeah, I guess that was the same in 02 as well. In the anime, it just kind of like, it just stayed in the dark ocean. The humans just kind of escaped. Next, we have Dusio, who says this week's episode really hit the horror genre on the nose. It was very much a drawing of the Innsmouth story. Yes, but it was far from the bad thing. They delivered well on it. And yeah, I'm not super familiar with a lot of the Cthulhu mythos and everything, but I feel like it did a good job at least. Next, we have Zintheon, who says they love that Terriermon Assistant made the anime appearance, though it has them wondering if it could be Bokumon reincarnated. That would be really cool, actually. I don't think it's that, but I would love for that to be the case. I don't think they have enough time to hint at that, considering they left Terriermon Assistant behind in the human world, but I would love that to be a thing. And next we have Allison, who says, can we address the fact that the time limit is just a plot device? And yeah, absolutely. And yeah, apparently Megas ignore it for some reason. Yeah, that is something that's weird. I'm still annoyed that the Digivice upgrade didn't remove the time limit. It feels weird to have a time limit on Perfect. It's just used as a plot device. I feel like every time we've had a timeout, it's been after a different amount of time. So that's kind of weird. I wish it was... I really don't like the timeout. And whenever it happens, it's kind of, ugh. Then we have Anime Guy, who says their crazy theory for the finale is that it'll be revealed that Hokuto was researching the digital world because his ancestor went there Taichi. Yes, Ghost Game has been a stealth sequel to Adventure 2020 and mentions what happened to Tai after staying in the digital world. I mean... I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like that at all. But maybe. Stranger things have happened. Anime Guy says, seriously though, it looks like their hope that all the bad Digimon that got away won't come back as United Army, that the trio stops by teaming up all the allied Digimon made along the way. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. Or the 3 Digimon just go to Mega and stop holding back the massacre, then villains on their own. Yeah, I don't think any of the previous villains will return, which is kind of a shame because I felt like a lot of them had... They've kind of felt like they would return. They felt like they had unfinished business, that they would come back and exist. But I feel like we're just having the good or neutral Monster of the Week show up again. Narumi says that this episode has a lot of Deus Ex Machina moments, and there was a lot of things happening in the episode. The body horror is very cursed and disturbing, and Hokuto finally came back from the digital world, and yes... that did happen. I do love the body horror. We got lots of that this week as well. Then lastly, we have Mystic Digital, who says that the plot has been present throughout the show. The plot isn't Hokuto or edgy Teen Gammamon, it's the coexistence of human and Digimon. And yeah, absolutely. They spelled it out in episode 21, Prison of Fire. And yeah, interesting that you mentioned that, because we had those Digimon from that episode come back in this week's episode. And I'll absolutely agree. The issue is, like, Digimon and humans don't really coexist well. And there are just Digimon showing up in the human world, and we don't know why that is, and we have to find out why that is. And that's sort of been the overarching plot. which is kind of something that episodic shows have. They are meant to have, like, unless they're just like 100% episodic, like, I don't know, The Simpsons, SpongeBob SquarePants, those kind of shows there. And then there are episodic shows like How I Met Your Mother, for example, which the plot is How I Met Your Mother, and I guess that sort of thing. This one's like How I Met Your Father, who went to the digital world and then came back with a dog with a lab coat on. I don't know where I was going with that analogy. I gave up halfway through. They said that this episode was good, and they kind of agree with Quinn and Chloe that it felt like two plots that needed time by themselves. Absolutely agree. They still love the sequence with the hard cut from Angoramon and the digital world disappearing. And yeah, that was a great cut, because it felt like it was quite an emotional moment. I think they did it quite well. Last week's episode, it just gets better the more I think about it, especially, I guess, when thinking about this week's episode, which I didn't enjoy too much. And that's it for the comments. Predictions for next week's episode, episode 66, so the second last episode is called The Black Dragon of Destruction. I'm going to guess that we get a Gulas Gamamon evolution, so either his perfect or mega form of Gulas Gamamon will appear, I guess, because Gamamon is a dragon, and then the evil forms are black in colour. So that feels like something that could happen, and presumably should. I'm guessing that also we'll find out that Gulas Gamamon is the voice, I guess, that's been calling them. I don't know, I feel like that's probably the best way to wrap it up, so it's all combined, like you're only wrapping up so many plot threads. If you combine those plot threads, it's only one thing to wrap up rather than several. But yeah, I don't really have any other predictions except for that. I hope it's better. This episode 66 and episode 67, I hope are better than this episode, because I'm less and less optimistic now. Alright, so thanks for listening to another episode of Lost in Translation Mon. You can join us not next week, not the following week, but the week after for episode 66, The Black Dragon of Destruction. I'm losing my ability to talk. It is very warm in here, my apologies. The link dumps in the link in the description, and you can contact us and stay updated. You can leave us a comment on this episode on YouTube to join in on the conversation, and for a full list of ways to find the podcast across the internet, head over to my Linktree, linktr.ee/LostinTranslationmon. If you enjoy the podcast or videos, you can show support by signing up on Patreon and get some cool rewards and help us hit milestones. And thank you to our current supporters on Patreon, Stephen Reeves, who is Wild64 on Archive Our Own, Kadawashi Chisai, who can follow on Twitter at Chisai236, Niabu, who says you should follow Chisai on Twitter at Chisai236, Lismet, who is Lechmon on Tumblr, Nicholas, Emery from Gone Hunting, a Hunter Rewatch podcast, Magnus, Lucas, Jason105, Patrick, Jason, Shelby, Digital Hazard, who's on Twitch at Digital Hazard, Droppymon, Vmon Shamer, and Joe. You can also make donation. I've lost my ability to talk again, my apologies. You can also make a donation on PayPal, which can be found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Ergemon. You can also donate to me on my Coffee account, ko-fi.com/Airdra. And that's it for another week. So thanks for listening, and thanks to Chloe and Quinn for always joining me. And of course, we will see you on the next one. Bye!